Welcome back to Broken Archive. If you're new here, this is a place for the strange, the unexplained, and the unsolved. Stories of people who vanished, crimes the world never closed, mysteries that have outlived everyone who tried to solve them. These stories are dark, but the way we tell them is calm. Dim the lights, settle in, close your eyes if you want to. Before we begin, if you find these stories help you drift off, do me one small favor while you're still awake. Tap the like button. Subscribe to the channel. It tells the quiet algorithms that this kind of storytelling matters, and it helps more sleepless people find their way here. Now, tonight's story, in the western part of North Carolina, in the old worn mountains of the Blue Ridge, there is a low, long ridge called Brown Mountain. It is not a dramatic peak. It rises only about 2,000 feet. It is covered in hardwood forest and laurel thickets, and for most of the year, it looks like any other quiet Appalachian ridge. But on certain nights, when the air is clear and the valley is dark, something appears above Brown Mountain. Lights. They rise from the ridgeline. Pale globes of light, sometimes white, sometimes red, sometimes a soft blue or yellow. They drift upward. They hover. They float along the crest of the mountain, and then they fade. Sometimes they last only a moment. Sometimes they linger for minutes. Sometimes there is one. Sometimes there are many. People have been watching these lights for more than 100 years. Long before there were highways. Long before there were power lines. Long before there were headlights in the valley below. The Cherokee, who lived in these mountains for centuries, are said to have known about them. Settlers wrote about them in the 1800s. Scientists from the United States Geological Survey came to study them twice and left without a complete answer. They are called the Brown Mountain Lights, and to this day, no one can fully explain what they are. This is the story of the lights on the mountain. The lights are old, older than anyone can say with certainty. The Cherokee people lived in these mountains for hundreds of years before European settlers arrived. According to a legend often associated with the lights, a great battle was once fought near Brown Mountain between the Cherokee and another people. Many warriors died, and afterward, the legend says the lights appeared, the spirits of women moving across the mountain at night, searching for the husbands and sons who never came home from the battle. It is a story passed down through generations, whether it is the true origin of the lights or a story told to explain something that was already there. No one can say. When European settlers came to the region in the 1700s and 1800s, they saw the lights too. They told their own stories. Some believed the lights were the spirit of a slave, searching the mountain with a lantern for his lost master. Some believed they were the ghost of a woman murdered on the mountain, her spirit still wandering. Some believed they were simply the souls of the dead, drifting in the dark. The mountain folk of Appalachia have always lived close to the land and close to its mysteries. The lights became part of the fabric of life in the valley. Something you grew up knowing about. Something you showed your children. Something you watched on clear nights from the porch. The first written record of the lights that historians can point to with confidence comes from the late 1800s. A German engineer named Gerard de Bram, who surveyed the region, is sometimes credited with noting them as early as the 1700s. He speculated that the mountain gave off flammable vapors that ignited in the air. Whether his account truly refers to these specific lights is debated. But by the late 19th century, the lights were well known enough that people came from miles away to see them. By the early 1900s, the Brown Mountain Lights had become famous across North Carolina. People wrote letters to newspapers describing them. Travelers made special trips to mountain overlooks to watch for them. A 1920s song was written about them. They became one of the most famous natural mysteries in the American South. And as the lights grew more famous, the questions grew louder. What were they? Where did they come from? Why did they appear over this one quiet ridge and nowhere else? The United States government decided to find out. In 1913, the United States Geological Survey sent a scientist to investigate the Brown Mountain Lights. His name was D.B. Sterrett. He spent time in the region. He observed the lights, and he came to a simple conclusion. The lights were nothing mysterious at all. They were, he believed, the headlights of locomotives in the valley below. Trains passing along the tracks near the Catawba River, their lights reflecting up toward the observers on the mountain overlooks. A reasonable explanation. The case seemed closed. And then, 3 years later, something happened that undid it. In 1916, a great flood swept through western North Carolina. The Catawba River overflowed. Bridges were destroyed. Railroad tracks were washed out. The power went down across the region. The trains stopped running. The roads were impassable for days. There were no train headlights, no car headlights, no electric lights of any kind in the valley. And the Brown Mountain Lights still appeared. People watched them float above the ridge in a valley that had been plunged into complete darkness. Whatever Sterrett had explained, it was not the whole story. So the Geological Survey came back. In 1922, they sent another scientist, a man named George Rogers Mansfield. He spent 2 weeks in the region. He studied the lights carefully. He took measurements and bearings. He mapped the locations where the lights appeared and the locations of possible sources. His conclusion was more thorough than Sterrett's, but it pointed in a similar direction. Mansfield believed that the great majority of the lights, by his estimate, the large majority, could be explained by ordinary sources. Train headlights, automobile headlights, stationary lights in the valley, brush fires, all of them refracted and distorted by the layers of air over the mountain, made strange and floating by the atmosphere. It was a careful, scientific report, and for many people it settled the matter, but it did not settle everything. Because Mansfield's explanation depended on lights in the valley, and the lights had been seen before there were any trains, before there were any cars, before there was any electricity at all. The Cherokee legends, the settler stories, the accounts from the 17 and 1800s, none of those could be explained by headlights that did not yet exist, and the lights seen during the flood of 1916, when the valley was dark, those could not be explained either. The mystery, it turned out, was older and stranger than the science could fully reach. In the century since those first investigations, many explanations have been offered for the Brown Mountain Lights. Some are scientific. There is the theory of refraction and atmospheric distortion, that distant ordinary lights are bent and lifted by temperature layers in the mountain air, made to float and shimmer where no light should be. This explains some of the modern sightings, the ones since cars and electricity came to the valley. There is the theory of ball lightning, a rare and poorly understood electrical phenomenon in which glowing spheres of light appear during certain atmospheric conditions, drifting through the air before vanishing. There is the theory of escaping gases, that the rock and soil of the mountain release flammable vapors or gases that glow, igniting or luminescing in the night air, a version of the very first explanation from the German engineer centuries ago. There is even a theory involving the unusual geology of the region, that the rocks of Brown Mountain create natural electrical or magnetic effects, producing a kind of earthbound glow. A study by Appalachian State University, decades later, suggested that some of the lights might be caused by these natural electrical discharges in the rock. But the researchers were careful. They did not claim to have explained all of the lights, only some of them. And that is the heart of the mystery. No single explanation accounts for all of the Brown Mountain lights. Refraction explains some. Ball lightning might explain others. Escaping gas might explain a few. Train headlights, in the modern era, explain a portion. But no one theory explains the old sightings and the new ones, the dark valley sightings and the lit valley sightings, the lights that hover and the lights that drift, the white ones and the red ones and the blue. The lights refuse to be reduced to a single cause. And so, after more than 100 years of watching and 2 federal investigations and university studies, and countless nights of careful observation, the Brown Mountain lights remain officially unexplained. Today, you can still see them. There are overlooks along the Blue Ridge Parkway and at a place called Wiseman's View, where people gather on clear, dark nights and wait. They bring chairs and blankets and thermoses of coffee. They sit in the cold mountain air. They watch the dark ridgeline of Brown Mountain. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, a pale light rises from the mountain. It hovers, it drifts, it glows softly against the black sky. And then, gently, it fades. No one in the crowd can tell you with certainty what they have just seen. There is something comforting in a way about a mystery like this one. It harms no one. It takes no one. It asks nothing. It simply appears on the old worn mountains of the Blue Ridge, the way it has for centuries, long before anyone was there to watch, and long after we have all gone. A quiet light in the dark. A question with no answer. A small wonder that the world has never quite been able to explain away. If you'd like to hear more stories of the strange and the unexplained, subscribe to the channel. New stories of the unsolved every Tuesday and Sunday. For tonight, we leave the lights where they have always been, drifting softly over Brown Mountain, glowing in the dark, and asking nothing of us, but that we watch, sleep well.